Hello and welcome to Case Closed. I'm Charlie Langton, your host. We'll soon go inside an actual courtroom in the Warren District Court to see a real small claims case in action. Under Michigan law, small claims cases may be brought by individuals seeking $3,000 in damages or less. Neither side may be represented by an attorney in small claims court, and the judge's decision is final. Now, let's take a look at our first case today, transmission collision.
Mr. Tyus, tell me what this is all about.
On the 19th of February, I called the transmission shop, and I talked to the manager, which is Mr. Hanson there. I talked to him and let him know I had a transmission line that's leaking. He said, fine. I told him I needed a tow truck. He called his tow truck to come and pick my car up. Got it there. He got to working on it. He estimated it. He showed me that my brake line was leaking brake fluid. And he said it's unsafe to drive. You need to get towed from the shop. I said, no problem.
Okay, but why did it have to be towed? It was already there, wasn't it? Didn't you have it towed just once?
I had it towed to his shop.
Yeah. But then you didn't have it towed again, right?
Yeah, I had to get it towed again.
Why? From where?
Because it's a transmission shop. They didn't do brake lines.
Oh, so you had to get it towed to another shop?
Right.
Okay, all right, go ahead.
I went back out in the lobby, and after telling me that my car came unsafe to drive, he took my car out for a test drive. And he came back in, so he crashed my car.
He took your car for a test drive?
Yes.
Why did he do that?
I do not know.
This
is after he told me that my car is unsafe to drive.
Okay, so you bring it in because the transmission line is leaking. He fixes it. You're there while he fixes it.
Right.
And then he says there's a problem with the brakes. You shouldn't drive it.
Right. It's
Then he drives
leaking.
it.
Yeah, then he drives it after he tells me
and he crashes it?
Yes.
Okay.
So after that, then he say, I asked him what he gonna do about it. He said he got to talk to the owner. He get back to me the next morning. I say fine. I come back tomorrow morning. Next morning I went, and he told me he talked to the manager. They gonna get an estimate. It's a collision shop right next door to the transmission shop. He's gonna get it towed over there, and get an estimate, and they'll let me know what they're gonna do from there.
How'd you find out he got into an accident?
He came back into the lobby and said it.
How'd he get over there? He couldn't drive the vehicle back, right?
It's like he crashed it right next to the shop in the trees.
You saw that?
Yeah, I went out there and seen the car in the trees.
Okay, go ahead.
So I left that day, came back, and he said, yeah, they're gonna do the work only if I get a transmission done through them. Now, I took it there for a transmission line. I ain't know I needed a transmission, so all of a sudden I need a transmission once my car got to be fixed.
They had not fixed the transmission problem.
Well, he fixed the line that I took it there for.
But not the transmission itself.
Right.
All right. So that was the deal, was they would do the collision work for you at no charge.
Right.
In exchange for you having the transmission work done at their shop, this company's shop,
right,
which would consist of a whole new transmission.
Right.
Okay.
Day by day, I'd call and check and see what the progress of the work. I told him I needed the car back, so I get back to work, because I had a rental car. So it's like he just gave me a runaround for 2 weeks straight. My car just sat there.
Which person? The transmission person or the collision
transmission person? He said the owner told him that they're not going to get my car fixed.
They're not?
They're not going to do it.
The collision shop?
Right. No, the transmission shop, they said they're going to do it.
Oh, they're not going to get it fixed at all?
At all.
All right.
They say I'm on my own. So that's when I filed suit.
So it's the tale of the transmission trouble test driver who trashes a tree. Who should pay?
Mr. Tressai, what do you want to say?
Well, there's a few things he's leaving out. While he was in the lobby waiting for the the transmission line to get fixed, he started to tell me that the vehicle had shifting problems, even before this transmission line blew up. So I'm like, okay. And the more he was talking about, the more he sounded to me like, at this point, I'm like,
this is an automatic transmission, right?
Indeed, yes, sir, it is. And at this point, I'm like, okay, one of two things here. Either perhaps the fluid leaking out has damaged the transmission internally, or perhaps it came in with an internal transmission problem. Any way you look at it, I need to figure out whether or not that's the case. Now, I lowered the vehicle down, and I pressed the brake pedal, and the vehicle stopped.
What do you mean lowered the vehicle down?
The vehicle was up in the air.
On the hoist?
On the hoist, yes. So my mechanic added, we fixed the brake line. It's just a little job, like $105.
Okay.
For us, that's a cheap job. And so then, we put the vehicle on the ground, and then, I knew that the brakes were leaking. So we backed up, and I hit the brake pedal, and the vehicle stopped. And I'm like, okay, fine. Now keep in mind, all cars are equipped with a diagonal braking system. You have 2 braking systems in your car for this exact situation. So anyway,
so your brakes shouldn't go totally out.
Your brakes should never go totally out. I've been doing this 17 years. This has never happened to me before. So anyway, I, test the brakes before I leave. So then I start driving down the street, and sure enough, as soon as it hits, the first shift that it does is very violent. All right, this is obviously an internal transmission problem. So I'm going a little bit farther, and then as soon as it hits 3rd gear, it automatically goes into limping or fail-safe, meaning that...
So what?
Fail-safe. The computer realizes there's something wrong.
Okay.
So the computer shuts everything down except for second and reverse. Okay. And I can just tell by driving it. The way I felt the 1-2 shift happen, and then boom, it goes into fail-safe. It's like, all right, this is an internal transmission problem. The problems he was describing to me in the lobby while he was waiting for the cooler line to be fixed were indeed internal transmission problems. So I'm on my way back to the shop, and I made another turn from Warner onto, I don't know the name of the street, and I hit the brakes, and it seemed to be, slowing down adequately. And then I had to make another left, and I hit the brakes, and it seemed to be slowing down adequately. But I'm in fail-safe again now, because the transmission's gone through another shift cycle. It's hit 3rd gear. Computer's put it into limping. I am now stuck in 2nd gear. At that point, it dawns on me when I go to press the pedal to the ground that there is nothing. Absolutely, completely, and totally nothing. And now I am really in a dilemma. I'm going roughly 25 miles an hour. And you saw it from the pictures there. There's these big poofy pine trees off to the left. So traffic coming north onto Quinter, which is supposed to be 35, nobody drives 35 at that particular part.
Oh, I know. That's true.
So as this is going on, I'm thinking fast. I'm like, okay, the parking brake. That's my way out of this. Push the parking brake to the floor, absolutely nothing. Either the parking brake has been disconnected back in the day, I'm not sure. I'm not even sure, maybe even before Mr. Augustus bought the car. I don't know. 0 results from the parking brake. Then I tried to shift it into park or reverse, figuring the transmission's already junk. If I, drop the transmission out because I'm putting it into reverse or park at roughly 25 miles an hour, damage is already done inside the transmission. We'll just probably have to add more parts to it. That didn't work either. So at that point, I'm like, well, those pine trees are, the softest landing I got. And if in the event that doesn't work, there's also 2 telephone poles standing between me and DeQuinter, going on DeQuinter at 25 miles an hour, making that right turn blind. I'm not going to do that. So I crashed into the pine trees.
Did you offer to have this collision company fix the vehicle?
Marty, who's a part owner of the shop and the transmission rebuilder, who essentially is he's my boss. I don't know. Lots of chiefs, too few Indians. But anyway, that was his original idea.
But why? This wasn't your fault at all, right?
The way I look at it, no. I mean, the condition...
Why didn't go back to Mr. Tyus and say, your brakes failed. I had to stop the vehicle. The only way I could stop it is by going into some pine trees. I'm sorry, but you got a major transmission problem and a brake problem and a collision problem.
Directly after the accident happened, we were like, oh my God, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? What are we going to do? And that was
what I suggested. That's what you do.
What's that?
You go to the customer and explain exactly what happened. The brakes went out in your car.
When Saeed, who is the actual owner of the shop, caught wind...
Transmission shop.
Right, he's the actual owner. He's who I'm here for.
Right.
Caught wind of it. He was the one that nullified the deal that basically Mahdi thought of.
I still don't know the answer to my question, which is why would Mahdi agree to this?
Basically, it was a dumb idea. There.
Well, maybe not. Maybe it wasn't a dumb idea if the accident occurred because of another reason. Is what I'm getting at. Well, let me ask you this question before you do. Did you ever have any problem with the brakes?
No, I didn't.
What about the shifting problem? Was it the way it was
I did
described
have
to
some
Mr.
shifting
Hassan?
problem, but it wasn't a stint like he said it was.
All right.
But after
Then-
after all the transmission fluid leaked out, maybe it got worse. He couldn't drive it, and neither did we. It was a
And another
towing.
thing,
Could have been.
the parking brake is working because I went to when he told me that they're not gonna fix the car. I got a tow truck to go get the car from the collision shop and get it towed to my house. And the collision guy, he actually used the parking brake to pull the car out their garage.
Once again, if the parking brake would have worked, we wouldn't be here.
Why did this deal fall apart?
Because Saeed said that this problem with the brakes isn't our problem. Therefore, this entire accident isn't our problem. If the customer wants to get the transmission fixed through us, we'll do what we can, but we're not doing anything with the body work at all.
And that happened how long after this occurred?
He's exaggerating the length of time.
Okay, how long was it?
By the following Monday, Saeed had told me, we're not doing that at all, period. And then by Wednesday, I told Mr. Tyus we're not doing that at all, period. And then the next thing I know, I see a tow truck is dragging his car out of the collision shop.
Now, Saeed, did you tell him about this? Did he know about this deal right away on February 19th? When did he find out about it? That day or later?
Following day, the 20th.
And it took him a week to decide that you weren't going to do it.
He said he wanted to consult with his attorney first.
So the shop owner says the brakes were bad before the test drive. So it's not the shop owner's fault that the brakes broke.